I'm George Pearson, and these are just a few examples from some of the training videos I have here on YouTube. Now, when you're working with the training, following along the training, if you want to get the materials I used in the training, just go to the description down below and click on the link that's at the top of the description, and this will take you to a page where you can download the materials. Please subscribe, click the like button, and of course always share on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the video. Well, it's time for a Mother's Day card, so here we go. This is all made out of contents here right inside of Photoshop Elements. So I don't need to be bringing in anything from the outside. It's all contained inside. Simple little banner in here, some twisted text, and then some clip art for the flowers. Kind of fun stuff, kind of a craft look in here. There's little button flowers. And of course a different background. So let's go ahead and create this Mother's Day card. I'll just get this one out of the way. There we go. We'll start off fresh with a brand new blank file. I have this one set at the Photoshop default elements size, which is the 6x4 at 300 pixels per inch. Choose OK, and there we go. The first thing we need is to put in a background on this, and that's easy. Go over to Graphics, and let's let that load up, and we're then going to choose a background. So have it set by type, and then backgrounds. There we go. Let that reload the backgrounds in, and then in the background list, so I can pull this out a bit so you can see more of those. There we go. If we scroll down a ways, there's all kinds of backgrounds in here. A lot of these are actually pretty good for cards like Mother's Day cards. These are all nice card backgrounds in here. This is pretty colorful, but still it's a nice background. A lot of these are pretty nice. These are pretty nice for just some more fun modern style backgrounds. Lots and lots of things to choose from. But if we keep on scrolling down, it's down quite a ways towards the bottom down here. This is kind of a nice one there as well. Let's go a little bit further, and there we go. So that one is called Pink Squares. Double click, and that then comes in as a background. We'll adjust the color if we need to once we have everything else in place. So there we go. There's the background for this. Now we need to have our swoosh banner shape. This is the hardest part of the whole project, is creating our swooshy banner thing. We're still going to be using our graphics. Let's change this to shapes. Let that load in. Now there's lots and lots of shapes again in here. These are great. I love working with these shapes. There's a lot that you can do with these. They have some banners already that you can work with. I happen to not like that. I'm be making one here from scratch. So we'll just scroll down and see what's available. And right there, there's kind of a banner shape. And we'll scroll down some more and see what else is in here. I'm just showing you what we have available to work with. Here's one that's kind of a vertical. You could turn that on its side. That's a possibility. That has a bit more of a swoosh to it. And there's even one more down here. If we can find it. There we go, this thing. You can actually take this and remove two of those and use just the one, and then stretch that one to have a nice banner shape as well, a bit more ripply than what we'll be doing. So there's a few things in here that can be used as banners. Let's go back to the one that I used, and that's right there when we select it. Just double click on that. It's called flag, and it's right by a guy here with a flag. So there we go. Now I need to stretch this out a bit. So I'll just pull the sides out like that and get it about right there. I left the size as it came in and just stretched it to the side. I'm not actually doing anything on that. So everything else stays the same, just stretching the sides out a bit. And if you look at the columns here of these diamond shapes, set this one here so we're just cutting into the third diamond. 1, 2, 3, third diamond. Just cutting in there. That's about the right spot. On the right hand side, we have 1, 2. Bring this in so it's just about in the middle, maybe a little less on that column there. That's about the right width. You can adjust left and right as you want to later on. Use the cursor keys and the arrow keys to kind of center that. But that's about the right size for our little demonstration here. So again, that's 1, 2, 3, and we're just into the third one over here. Bring back just a little bit. There we go. And 1, 2 columns, and we're in that second column. Okay, this will be our main foreground piece. We're then going to be using parts of this to create the little tail ends on this one. Just click OK. Now I want to give this a color. We need to convert this from being a shape into a graphic. So let's go over to our layers, click on layers. There's our shape. I'm just going to rename this banner. So it's our foreground banner. There's the background. Now notice that this comes in as a shape, little shape symbol right there. So right click on this and simplify layer. It's now just a regular graphic. Okay, now we need to have some coloration. I want a light blue for the middle and then a not quite as light for the sides, but pretty close. So click on the foreground color, come into the blues. Up in here someplace, it doesn't need to be exact. I'm just down in the light range on this. And then way over here, real nice light blue. This would be the middle part, and choose OK. Let's now come down to the background. That's where it's white right now. Click on that, and I'm going to click into this color down here, bottom left hand corner right there. Click into that color. That resets that at my foreground color. I can now come in and make that a little bit darker based upon the same color. I'm going to take it down just a bit in here. I just want to soften it down a bit. Up here it's real bright. I want a little bit duller than that, not quite so bright. But it's pretty close. See, there's the original, or close to it. If I choose OK, there we are. They're very close, foreground and background, very close in values. That'll just be our colors in here. These don't need to be exact. You can choose any color you want, but just keep them fairly close, just for a fairly soft look to that. Let's now put a gradient in here. Click on the gradient tool. Now we want to have this set at normal. Go to the gradients in here and choose the first option. This is foreground to background. Again, hard to see because it's very subtle, and that's what I want. Normal opacity 100, and then on the options, choose reflected. What this will do is it will, when I pull my gradient, it's going to copy the gradient to the other side. So we'll be pulling from the middle here, which is the top color, and we'll pull to this side, and that's then going to copy that on that side. So we'll have light in the middle and a little bit darker on the ends. I also want to have it just inside of this shape, so we need to select just that shape. Easy to do. Hold the Control key down, click on the picture up here, and that selects just that shape. Okay, so come into the middle someplace, pull that to the right hand side, let go, and that then copies it both directions. So there we go. It's brighter in the middle and it's a little bit darker on the side, just kind of subtle. We can now deselect that. All right, there's the first stage. Let's now make a duplicate of this layer. Go up here, just grab that, drag it up here onto the new layer button. There's our copy. Pull this down underneath, and this will be the first part of our fold, our little back fold. Let's call this one banner back fold, just so we can keep everything easy here. Banner back fold, and it's in behind. Now I want to flip this so it's the opposite direction. So image, rotate, and flip layer vertical. There you go. Now if you don't move it, it just comes in right in behind. And we'll be using just this first part of this, the first bit right in there. We'll be using that and getting rid of everything else. So there we are. Let's see where that is. Grab the ruler, left-hand side, and pull in a line and come in here just about to where this is at the bottom of the curve and that's at the top of the curve. So kind of like, you know, the widest part in here. Again, doesn't have to be exact, but just put it about there. Now go over here to the marquee tools and grab the rectangular marquee. I'll click up here someplace, click and drag down and over right to that guideline. It'll snap to the guideline. Hit the delete key. That then removes that bit. So there's our back curl. We can now deselect that. Now it's too light. I want to have this darker. So let's go up here to Enhance and adjust lighting, brightness contrast, and just bring the brightness down a bit. There we go, just kind of like that. And choose OK. So there's our brightness. Now I need to have the next piece back here, and that's the part that is going to be our little end of the ribbon. I'll be doing that with another copy of this. So take this, drag it up here, take a banner, drag it up here, banner copy, pull that down underneath the banner backfold. I'll rename this one. This is ribbon end. There we go. Now I'll be using my arrow keys, the cursor keys on my keyboard. I'm just going to pull this up. I'm just tapping the up arrow like that, and let's just pull that out a little ways. Kind of over in here. Oh, about a third of the way into this side is fine. Now you want to come in and make sure that this lines up exactly. Let's just zoom in on that overlap right there. So using my cursor keys, I'm just going to tap this down until the top edge of this back piece meets that line right there. And it's right at that point. There we go. Perfect match. Okay, zooming back out again. And that gives me that back little flip. It's just a little fold here and a fold there for that back flip. Now I want to get rid of all this excess in here. That's on this layer. So grab the rectangular marquee tool, drag that along like this, back to that same guideline, hit the delete key, and there we go. That's now removed. Look, now deselect that. So there's that bit. The last thing we need is that little ribbon kind of end thing in here, and we can do that just using the polygonal lasso tool. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see this. There we go. And then right in here is polygonal lasso tool. Click the upper left hand corner, or upper right corner rather. Click there, come down about halfway, and about halfway in, about halfway down, about here. Click down to this corner, and then just click out here someplace, click up here someplace, and back to the beginning. Make sure you're on the ribbon end layer and hit the delete key and just cut that out. Okay. And let's deselect that. There we go. Last thing we need to do is to adjust the value of this. I want this a little bit darker than this. And we can look at our alignment on that. Let me just use my arrow keys. Looks good. Just double checking the alignment. Let's make this a little bit darker than this, just so it stands out a bit better. So same thing we did before. Enhance, just lighting, brightness contrast, bring our brightness down just a bit. So I want this darker than this, but lighter than that. And it's right about there. You know, fairly subtle is just fine. That's perfect. Okay, so there we go. There is that basic ribbon look on the right-hand side. So that's taken care of. Now we need to change this, or copy this rather, and put it over on this side. So click on this banner backfold. Hold the control key down, click on the second one, banner ribbon end, so I have those two selected. Drag those up to the new layer button, just like that. Now we can put those on the other side. Now to do this, I need to rotate these around 180 degrees. So go up here to Image, Rotate, Rotate Layer 180. Just makes them upside down. I'm just going to grab this and drag them over here, like that, and get it about right. Just kind of basically placed in position, and then we'll zoom in and we'll finish off that position here with the arrow keys and just tap that into place so it fits in exactly. There we go. And we now zoom out, and there it is. There's that nice ribbon shape, and that's actually the hardest part of the whole project, is getting that ribbon shape taken care of. So that's now done. Hardest part is finished. Okay, now let's do the next interesting part, which is the Mother's Day text on here. Now that is, of course, using the type tool. And we want to be using a darker color for that. Now the one I have is just a cyan. There's a CMYK cyan here. If I scroll down a little bit, oh, let's get that scroll down to work for me. There we go. So going right down here. This one's called light cyan. Scroll down some more. I have right here pure cyan. That's the one that I happen to like. And that sets our text color with pure cyan. Now typeface I used was Adobe Garamond Pro Bold Italic. So it set up bold italic. There's lots of variations in here. Regular italic, bold, and bold italic. I went for the bold italic. The point size is 32, and it's set for center. This doesn't really matter, but it's set for center. Okay, now we're going to be doing two parts of this type, and you'll see why in just a bit. So let's go up here to the banner, click on the banner. Now when I use the type tool to put the text above the banner, that's why I put that up at that point. Okay, let's click over here someplace, doesn't matter exactly where. And let's just type in happy MO. That's all you want, happy MO, and choose OK. Now, back to the type tool. I'm over here someplace, and then this one is THER''S, Thursday. There we go, and choose OK. So I've put the name here, the text twice, the two pieces, Happy Mo and Thursday. That's because we're going to be doing a bend on the text, and I can't do the full swish. I can only do it half and half. So going over here to our first one, grab the type tool, be doing this part of the type right there. Come down here where it has this little T with the curved arrow. This is the warped text. Click on that and come down to arch, and that bends the type up. Set the bend here to +25, which is about right for that curve, and choose OK. So there's the top curve, and choose OK. There's our top curve. Let's go up to the second half of our type right here. Grab your type tool. We're doing this part of the type this time. Same thing. Come down, choose arch. This time you want it to say -25. So it's the opposite direction. And choose OK. There we go. So there's the bottom half of that curve. Now I can use my cursor keys and just move the text around. Let's go over here to the happy MO, move the text around until it's in the right spot. Now notice when I get the right spot here, the H is a bit too low. So while I have the type selected, just come just outside. I'm going to pull that H up just a bit. So I rotated the text around just a little bit, and also go back and forth just a touch until I'm happy with that. So a little less rotation, and bring the cursor key so it comes down a bit, and that looks just about right. So there you go. There's Happy Mother's Day. Click on the background so you can see that, and there it is. There's the type. Now it's a bit too far to the right, so select both of our layers. Again, using the arrow keys, let's just tap it to the left just a little bit, and that's good. Okay, that part is done. Now all we need to do is to put in our flower bouquet in behind here. Now that is made from graphics. Go over here to our graphics and change this to graphics. So it's graphics and graphics. Now if you scroll through, there's just a lot of stuff in here. If we scroll up a little bit, we come up here to a section that has these flowers. There's a few different flowers, and there's these flowers in here, this little section here, that has these buttons in them, little buttons and flowers. It's kind of a cute craft look kind of a thing. I mean, you can use real flowers if you want to, or you can go ahead and get clip art if you want to, but we'll be using just this set right there, which are these little button flowers. Maybe that one as well. Okay, let's get set up to do this. I first want to get rid of that guideline, so let's go up here to View and Uncheck Guides and get rid of that. Now I want to have the flowers in a circular pattern, so I want to have a circle as reference. So go to our layers, and there's the banner. Now click just below the top banner, right there on where it says banner backfold or copy. So we're just right below the banner. Go over here to our shapes, grab the ellipse tool, drawing from center, and let's set this at circle. There we go. And then we can find the center by pulling our guidelines in. Now this is going to snap to the center of the page. That one showed again, doesn't matter, just ignore that. Let's pull down a guideline from the top, and right there it snaps to the center. So here's our center cross line. We have our ellipse, and we're set at circle in here. We have our light blue for the color, which is fine. It's set to draw from center. That's fine. So let's click on that center point and drag until the circle is about that size. Kind of like in here someplace. Notice that I'm not clear out to where that fold ends. I'm inside of that fold. Okay, there we go. Now back to our move tool. Now this is just for reference. We're putting in our flowers, and we'll be doing those from our graphics. Let's now begin to do that. Start off with a double click, and it puts a flower on here. Don't worry about this being in front of everything. We'll be adjusting that in just a minute. Put one over here, so it just kind of overlaps a little bit over that edge. I'll leave that one at that size. Let's grab a white one, double click, bring it up right there, and let's grab this pink thing in here, and I'll put that right here. I'm going to change the size of the pink one a little bit. There we go, and choose OK. So just do this and fill this whole thing up with these flowers. Try to put some of the darker ones along the edge, not all dark, but a few scattered up here. That helps to be able to easily see the circle because we're on a light background. If I had all light flowers here, it'd be hard to really see where that edge was. You want to have mostly darks along the edges. So we have a green, we have that one. So let's bring in a blue one, double click, and I'll put that right in there. Just kind of overlapping them. Let's bring a light one. I'll put a light one right down here. Since I'm against that edge, that's okay. And let's do another magenta. And I'll make this one bigger again, but a little bit larger. Just kind of right like that. That's pretty good. And so that kind of defines our shape. So I can now bring in another one of these lighter ones, and I'll stick it right there. And let's try one of these interesting ones in here. Oh, didn't want to do that. Grab the wrong thing. Just undo that move. There we go. Grab the flower and just put that right there. So that defines that edge. Do the same thing for the bottom. And I'll grab a blue this time and put that right there. And let's do a magenta. I kind of like the magentas being a little bit larger. I don't really know why, but I do. There we are. Again, trying to keep it so the edge is pretty close to the edge of the circle. Doesn't need to be exact, just close to that. And let's do a light one. Maybe a nice, oh, there we go. Click the green check mark before you do that to finish that off. I'm going to put a light one right there. That's fine. And let's put a green one next, right in here. And then we can do another light one. I'll do this one. A little downloading thing was that I hadn't downloaded that one yet. Depending on which version you have of Photoshop, they'll either already all be downloaded or you need to download them as you go. Okay, just fill in the rest of this. I'll leave that one smaller. And I'm going to do a light one up here is okay. I'll do this one. Just right here someplace. And let's do a blue one, I think. Right in there. Okay, so far so good. That gives me the circle. Let's now just fill in the rest of this with other ones. You can use your lighter ones in here, no problem. So I'll do a white one right there. Let's do one of these kind of white ones in here. And I think a green one just for variety's sake right there. And then that bright white one right in there. There we go. Now if you want to, you can actually leave the banner in behind like this. It's an interesting look. It's not what we're doing, but it's an alternate, a variation on that. Okay, let's do another white one here. And again, it's just a matter of filling in that blue circle. You don't have to have too many. You'll be seeing some blue through it. That's just fine. So you can have some blue showing through. Doesn't matter. That's perfectly okay. And just come in and put in a few of these. Maybe change the sizes a little bit as you go just to make it a bit more interesting. There we go. Let's get another light one in here, right up here. Another one of these guys, little button ones right there. And I think a green one right in there. So just kind of fill that in with your flowers. Okay, that step is done. Let's now hide those guidelines. They're no longer needed. There we are. And back to our layers again. We have all of these flowers in here. If I scroll down, it comes clear down to there. So all of our flowers down here, lots of flowers. So click on the two type layers, hold your control key down, and then click on the banner layer right there. So it's the two type layers and the banner. We're going to drag this to the top. So just drag this straight up, and if you go clear to the top, it kind of drags up. And see that dark line in there that shows up? That's where it's going to be hitting. Make sure that the dark line is at the very top of the stack and let go. That puts those in front. Now all we need to do is to come down here and hide that blue circle. And there we go. There's our Mother's Day card. Last thing I want to do now is to make it look a little bit better. We're doing a little bit of drop shadow stuff on these other shapes. So I'll go up to the top one here, our banner, and layer style settings, and choose drop shadow. Now I want to have this fairly soft, so I'm going to change my size. Let's put the size out. Let's put out to 29. I'll just type that in. There's 29, fairly soft. I want it a little ways away, so there's our distance adjustment in here. Set the distance to 23, and I want it softer than I want, fairly soft, so set it at 25. So it's just a little subtle drop shadow. Just kind of helps separate that out, and choose OK. Now on this layer, there's our drop shadow effects. Right click and copy layer style. Now scroll down. We have the rest of our banner pieces down here. Right click on each one of these and paste layer style. And then just go through and do that for each one of these pieces. Right click, paste layer style. Last one, right click, paste layer style. And there's that little drop shadow on there. Now I didn't do any drop shadow on the flowers on purpose to make this look more like a craft kind of a thing where somebody had pasted on these flowers in here. If you want to do drop shadows on those, that's up to you. It's a different look, slightly up to you. I kind of like it with just the flowers as is. So there we go. There's our Happy Mother's Day card. Let's just zoom in a little bit on this so you can see that. There we go. So there's Happy Mother's Day in a little kind of craft effect. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this